So, in my Discord server, we've started a film club, and my good friend Zach from the They Live by Film podcast nominated Black Snake Moan on his week to recommend a movie, and you'd likely know this film best from this meme of Sam Jackson, but I watched it and was absolutely entranced by its grungy, sweaty, beautiful, and full of blues atmosphere that's occupied by two incredible central performances in Christina Ricci and Samuel L. Jackson. This is directed by Craig Brewer, director of Dolomite Is My Name, the Coming to America sequel, and one of my personal favourite movies, Hustle and Flow. And if you've seen Hustle and Flow and liked it, I'd recommend this because it operates on a completely similar feeling, but instead of using southern hip hop as a backdrop, it's blues. The film follows a woman named Ray whose nymphomania caused by childhood sexual abuse triggers her to cheat on her boyfriend whilst he's being deployed. During this time, she meets a God-fearing divorcee named Lazarus who, to cure her of her sex addiction, chains her to a radiator in the hopes they can talk through her issues. It's an insane premise and probably sells you on an exploitation film that you're just not going to get because the film is surprisingly tender and handles its issues very carefully despite the elevator pitch. The film opens on a clip of blues musician Son House talking about blues music and where it comes from, not its history but where its essence comes from, its soul, which is from love, but the tainting of that love specifically. He talks about how love hides all fault and makes you do things you don't want to do, but at the same time people can deceive through love, lie and hurt through love, and that's where the blues comes from. It's a great opening that stresses the importance of blues music to this narrative, but also how its meaning is found in our two protagonists. But that's from a source other than this film. They're using blues as a metaphor told through a man that died nearly 20 years before the film was even made. So what does the film itself have to contribute? What does it have to say on the same subject? Well, a lot, and the film is scripted and structured so well that it builds these ideas immediately in such a compelling and efficient way that you barely even notice it. Like, immediately after that clip of Son House, we cut to a young couple having sex, and the young couple is played by Christina Ricci and Justin Timberlake respectively, and to open on such a strong and invasive act, you immediately recognize this film is not going to dance around its topic, it is head on. And sex is not something to circumvent, it's here to demonstrate an act of love, exactly how Son House was talking about it. Passionate, honest, naked love. Immediately after, Timberlake's character Ronnie starts to throw up due to an anxiety that he has about being deployed, and she comforts him. Two very different acts of love, one after another, two different kinds of vulnerability placed back to back. Except the first act of vulnerability is shared between them. This one is Ronnie's personal cross to bear, but Ray is there to help him through it. That's important, and I want you to keep note and score of that because we're going to come back around to it. Following that scene is a scene of Lazarus. He's dressed quite nicely, clearly a respectable man who is having a conversation with his wife as she confesses to her infidelity and need for escape. She leaves him on the spot as he tries to claw to their relationship. It's a simple and quick scene, but it's doing a decent bit to subconsciously tell us a few things. 1. That Lazarus is a well-dressed and well-spoken man. 2. He's Christian through and through with good values. 3. He has never laid a hand on his wife. And 4. That he does not want this separation and it's hitting him very hard. All simple and easy things to pick up on without feeling wedged into the scene. Then we return back to the previous couple as they separate too, but this time with the intention of being together again. But immediately after their separation, Ray is once again vulnerable. This evens the score between them because if you did keep note, they have shared vulnerability, then Ronnie was vulnerable but had Ray beside him, but now Ray is vulnerable with no Ronnie to coach her through. She's alone. This leads Ray to cheat on Ronnie almost immediately, but she tries not to mention him during or after the act of cheating because the cheating isn't emotional. It's a purely physical addiction she has, and in any other case at this point we're just meant to think she's kind of a sleep around a notorious cheat because this guy mentions they've done it before and he's aware of her boyfriend. The only thing that pulls back from that notion is that we've seen her genuinely care for Ronnie. She was sincere in her aid when he was weak, and prior to this event she seemed to be physically actually struggling. All these scenes back to back build such an intense and well thought out picture with just 10 minutes on the clock. There is a brevity to this script and editing that most films could only dream of having. We know almost everything there is to know about Ray, Lazarus, and even Ronnie to an extent without having to exposit any information, just a few small scenes of character interaction and differing social dynamics, and we're nearly complete on our education of these characters. But it doesn't stop there. Ray then goes on to her friends about how Ronnie doesn't love her and ignores her request for him to stay, but this to me is a clear coping mechanism. It's a way for her to justify her cheating, thinking that if he's abandoned her, thus proving he doesn't love her, it's okay for her to emotionally abandon their relationship in an act that would prove that she doesn't love him. They're kind of equals in that twisted logic. Now, during this big party scene, we see Lazarus again, but notably this time far less presentable than before. He's there in a vest, looking scruffy, in stark contrast to his modish church outfit from his earlier scene. This leads to a moment where both Ray and Laz are mirrored. Ray gets high and her world turns literally blue and melancholic, and Laz gets drunk and starts playing the blues whilst being melancholic. It's a beautiful mirroring. Laz also sings a song about a woman cheating on the songwriter whilst Ray literally cheats on her boyfriend. It's not that subtle, but I don't think that's really detrimental to the movie at all. It isn't punching you in the face with its themes and ideas, but they're presented in an honest enough fashion where even the most casual viewer can pick up on any of it, which is a difficult balance when screenwriting. And Ray is performed so well by Christina Ricci, having this white trash hardcore persona whilst obviously being fragile and in great pain. It's heartbreaking to watch because her nymphomania that stems from abuse leads her down a road to more of it, and the new abuse just replaces her old trauma, which causes her to go again, and so on. It's a demanding and burdensome lifestyle that she recycles constantly without knowing how to stop. This causes Ray to end up beaten and bloodied, left for dead on the side of a rural road, but as luck, or should I say God would have it, this road happens to be just outside Lazarus's home. This is definitely a form of divine intervention, not only for Ray but for Laz too, who is in need of just as much help as she. Though Laz is technically the carer here, they are each other's healers. Now, though the idea of him chaining her up seems in concept a very frightening and unethical act, the intention behind it is anything but sinister. Yes, he probably shouldn't have done it, but the idea is that she doesn't run off during her hallucinations and fits, and it functions as sort of the ties in an exorcism, at least symbolically. She can still freely roam the grounds, go to the bathroom, kitchen, etc. Very important to note also that earlier in the film, before Laz had the initial conversation with his ex-wife, he mentions to his reverend that he never laid a hand on her. It's a way the film establishes in the very beginning that Laz isn't a physical man. He isn't abusive towards women or just others in general, only towards his brother whom was having sex with his wife, so fair enough. So Laz thinks that if he can fix her, if he doesn't let her down, he's inadvertently fixing his marriage, fixing himself, not letting his wife down in essence. And Ray comes to embrace her chains because she understands their purpose despite occasionally begrudging their existence. Ray even bounds herself in the chains in her first real night at Laz's because she has this insatiable need to feel safe, like a more extreme version of being tightly tucked in at night. This is even mirrored in the very last scene of the movie, but anyway, a lot goes on, yada yada, and eventually the preacher talks about God to Ray. It's one of the most convincing and beautiful concepts of heaven I've ever heard. He talks about a kind of heaven on earth as he lives and breathes, one where he communicates with God when he's alone and finds comfort in that. It's personal. He thinks people focus too much on what happens after you die. Ray then reveals that her personal life heaven is Ronnie, because despite her history of being unfaithful, she really does care for him. He's the only one she confided in about her past. It's beautiful. Now with some trust in her unconventional therapy, Laz takes the chains off and then fills Ray in on his history, his marriage, whilst he plays her a blues song about his troubles. It's an incredible scene as the storm outside seems to enter the house as Ray's PTSD fueled memories seem to intrude in her mind. It's more of this thematic and aesthetical mirror mirroring the film builds its foundations with. There's a couple great scenes like Ray confronting her mom in a grocery store about the abuse she suffered as a child and her mom's implicit involvement through turning a blind eye. It's very cathartic. There's a great scene following that where Laz takes his guitar and plays at a local bar, and Ray lets loose for the first time around all these people and men without feeling the need to have sex because she expunged all her anxiety in that climactic confrontation with her mom. Ronnie eventually comes home because of his anxiety that was established in the first moments, and he comes to find Ray living in Laz's home. She's peacefully singing with Laz before Ronnie threatens to kill Lazarus, despite Laz knowing that he isn't a killer. He smells it on him. And it's a neat way to demonstrate how Lazarus has lived a real life before now. He has so much history. He has these scars that are never explained. These tidbits of history that never really go into full context. Sam Jackson implies so much archived pain in Lazarus that I find completely fascinating. This leads to Ronnie and Ray having a small therapy session with the Reverend where she doesn't divulge everything in her past, but just enough to show where their relationship needs to head, what their goals and intentions are. But the fact is, she doesn't need to divulge all of this information to the audience anyway. We don't need to know every detail of her abuse because she already has told it all to Ronnie prior to the movie's events, and that's what matters. Because it's them two and how they heal each other, how they trust each other. We're here to see the process, not the initial trauma or the results. Now there's another character I've yet to mention, Angela. She's a pharmacist who helps Lazarus with the medication for Ray, but she grows this relationship with Laz over the course of the movie as they trade niceties, and she's a living reflection of Lazarus's healing process. As he gets further through his and Ray's vicarious therapy, his relationship with Angela blossoms, and anytime they regress in their progress, his relationship with Angela strains. This relationship is eventually fixed and blossoms as Ray repairs her relationship with Ronnie and they get married. Both Laz and Ray become healed as they find their partners in their rebirth. The movie ends on this very somber moment of Ronnie getting a panic attack and Ray calming him down through song, which is her repeating the healing process that Lazarus did for her. Now one thing I did want to emphasize before the end of this video is the name Lazarus. It's a biblical name in line with his character, informing us that his parents were also Christian, which is where he likely inherited his beliefs, and is the name of a saint in the New Testament. Lazarus was famously resurrected 4 days after his death as one of the miracles of Jesus, if not the miracle. The name is incredibly fitting here because this is a story of redemption. This is a story of both Lazarus and Ray's rebirth, their resurrection, and if we count from the days where Ray is awake and chained to the final day of her wedding, it has been 4 total days and nights. Overall, this isn't a movie that's going to hit for everyone, and I don't think this video is going to do exceptionally well considering its niche topic, but I think it's a movie that does something very simple very effectively. And if you're looking for a time that tackles a bunch of complex themes in an effortless, greasy, careful and soulful way, this is the movie. But that's just me. What do you think? Have you seen Black Snake Moan? If not, will you? If so, what did you think? And whether it's one about addiction, abuse and blues or not, as always, keep watching movies.